Hello and welcome to Galactic Goddess Podcast. I'm your host, Radhaa Nilia, and I'm with two incredible beings and practitioners, Michael Canton, who is a licensed professional clinical counselor and owner of Sacred Psychotherapy, a private practice specializing in holistic mental health, and Angela Braden, who is an emotional freedom technique master and who works with couples to clear their barriers of sacred union. Welcome.
Thank
Hey,
you,
thanks
Rob.
for having me.
So wonderful. Let's just dive right in. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you're doing with men?
Sure. I've been a licensed mental health therapist for around 7 years. And a few years ago during the pandemic, I opened up Sacred Psychotherapy, which is my private practice, partly because I wanted to incorporate all the different modalities I love,
Mhm.
like therapy, energy work, qigong, meditation, mindfulness, um, breath work. Like I wanted to get out of the conventional mode of psychotherapy
Mhm.
because I myself have experienced so much in my own spiritual journey and healing journey. And so that was the reason for that. And the past few years doing that, it's been awesome. I've just continued to grow my practice and also grow myself because, as you might know, we can do more for people the more healed we are, you know.
Ab-
So, yeah, so, I work with individuals, I work with couples, I work with groups. I do have men's groups, and I do have a meditation group that meets monthly. So, just really, it's been great to align myself with the work that I want to do in the world, and it's continuing to unfold.
Beautiful. Would you like to go into a little bit about the work you do with men? Because I think
Mhm.
that it's so incredible that you work, you specialize also in men. And I think a lot of men have been, a society been avoidant towards inner work. It's been more pressure to be focused on the outer realm
Mhm.
than the inner realm. And how has
Mm.
it played out for you? What kind of men are coming in, and are men starting to open up more to this type of work?
Yeah, so the men that I've had in coaching men and also in psychotherapy with men, um, it's a combination. So a lot of times, there's men who have the the soft skills already, like they are already into meditation and mindfulness and being intuitive and tuning into themselves and wanting to align who they are with their passions and they're needing some guidance around being more active, being more purposeful, um, taking the next step on their journey that maybe they've been resisting or weren't sure what that is, right? And I've also seen men who and work with men who are leaning towards they do all the things, they have the wife, the kids, the mortgage, the job, um, and they're, good at their job. And yet there's some healing in them that is available because they've done all the things, but they've been pushing down emotions and more of that soft nature of them, like the intuition, and they're they're having trouble relating what they're going through with, let's say, their woman, right, their partner, um, and so it's like they're needing guidance in a different way to let's see how can we be more mindful and aware of what the emotions are in
Mhm.
us and seek to communicate that in a way that is loving and palatable, for the feminine partner. So I've seen kind of like both sides there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like in your practice, you've worked with men and women, do you feel that men tend to have a harder time like accessing parts of themselves, their emotions, like how has that played out
Mm.
in their lives where, be tough, boys don't cry, all those things that people
Mm-hmm.
have said in our society?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've certainly been socialized in a number of ways through our family lineage.
Mhm.
Um, but even our family members have been socialized. So we can't just blame it on the family or something like that, right? There's a larger society um, that has influence on all of us, especially in the modern era, where we have um, people broadcasting, companies broadcasting, conglomerates broadcasting messaging. And so we're all inundated, us men, um, over the years, and it trickles down to where we are right now. And we are kind of like in this battle, right? Like, do we continue that direction, or do we choose a different direction, a more integrated direction?
Mhm.
And you know, first, men need to become aware. So some of it is like, I don't know what's going on with me. They come in with, right? I'm having, they discuss their symptoms. I'm having fights with my wife, or I'm, having difficulty in my work. I don't feel as aligned, or I have trouble communicating with my authority figure at my job, whatever the case may be. Um, or I'm spending too much time there, and I'm realizing that I need to have more of a balanced life, right? So, but what they come with the symptoms, but then what they find is, oh yeah, like there's like some patterns in me that I didn't really even realize were there. There's some socialization in me um, that I didn't know was even happening. And let's talk about it. I say, like, let's explore this. And so, um, you know, that there's a process to bringing that out into the open, and in a way it can be shocking. It's destabilizing a bit, because then it's like, oh, I've been running this program
Mhm.
that I didn't even necessarily want, or um and by doing so, maybe there's been some good things that have come out of it, and some things that are not so good. And so we start to look at that in a deep way.
Angela?
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful to help people make that realization that we have to take control of our programming. Our mental programming is affecting our lives at every level, and we've been programmed
Yeah.
even through, like Michael said, through the lineage, inherited traumas, inherited limited beliefs. All of that is at play unless we take control and we transform and intentionally reprogram and rewire ourselves, right? And so I think that's what's so valuable, and what all three of us do as practitioners in different, using different modalities, and sometimes overlapping modalities, as the case may be, but that we're able to, using these amazing divine tools that are scientifically proven as well, to help people take control of their consciousness and their programming in the way that they want to manifest in their lives. It's really, really empowering, and I have so much respect for the work that both of you are doing. And I definitely feel honored to like experience the transformations as well with emotional freedom technique work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So yes, God's given us these tools, and it's a powerful blessing.
Mm.
So, Michael, I wanted to ask, how can rituals and ceremonies facilitate deeper healing, connection, and transformation, especially for men?
Yeah. You know, that's one of the things that when I started to do my own work as a man, just getting into men's work, working with men's coaches, that's something that I realized out of the gate that was different than anything I had done before, like any type of one-on-one therapy or energy healing, anything that I've done before with practitioners for myself, my own healing, didn't really have the ritual or ceremonial aspect. Um, there was some plant medicine ceremonies I had been a part of. Um, but and I which I really, you know, got some value out of. But doing the men's work, I found that it was about, okay, how can I take a ritual into my own day to day
Mm.
that I found really important. It it brings a level of awareness and discipline that I hadn't had to that point. And so a ritual might look like waking up and having an altar space in your room
Mhm.
and having a candle there and having maybe a prayer card or a crystal or something there to kind of like focus your attention and having a practice to do first thing in the morning. Like a lot of times I do short meditations just for myself. So like 7 minutes, 10 minutes, just something to kind of like set the tone for the day. Um, a ritual can look like, you know, doing something physical. So it could be like I did this once for 40 days. I did a ritual of I'm gonna put a song on and I'm gonna dance in my living room.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's
you
good.
know
Yeah.
and that was really cool. Rituals can be I'm gonna do a cold shower in the morning, right, and increase the amount of time I stay in that cold shower. So there are things that we integrate into our day, and for men, like just even those examples are kind of interesting, right? Like the cold shower is integrating that warrior aspect, like doing something like, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this, but doing it anyway. The dance is to me a little bit more feminine. It's like, I'm going to feel myself. I'm going to hear the music and just move and let like intuitive flow happen. And I'm not worried about anybody watching me. I'm just going to be
Mhm.
whatever comes through me, right?
Yeah.
There's a very feminine aspect to that. Um, Meditating, uh, it's a little bit of both, a kind of a blend of masculinity and femininity. It's feminine for me in the sense that I'm receiving a connection to the divine. I'm receiving that energy, that flow, and even just having like a posture of my hands open, right, is like I'm receiving something. But I could also turn my hands over and place it on my lap, and it's very grounding.
Mm.
And so, and focusing on a mantra or just focusing on the breath is kind of like a mental aspect of things which is also kind of masculine, like focusing, you know? And so, um, we're doing things, we're embodying things within these practices and these routines or rituals that wake up the body, that reminds us to set the tone for the day, that um, creates a container, which is also a very masculine thing. So guys learning how to create a masculine container for themselves first, then can transfer that in the relationship on how to create a container for his woman.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
that's what I've learned, and that's what I teach.
One really cool thing about this room is how you both serve the divine masculine. Michael has the archetypes, which would be really cool to talk about. And then Radha works with goddess archetypes, feminine archetypes. So it was just interesting to me to bring you two together because, what the work that Radha's doing for the feminine is very similar to what Michael's doing for the masculine. So would you like to talk about, or do you use the archetypes in the ceremonies or rituals like you're referring to now? Or where do the archetypes come in?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can definitely integrate that. I'd say, you know, so the archetypes that you're talking about for men are the king, warrior, magician, and lover. And so you can turn any of those archetypes into, you can embody each of them, first of all, and you can have a ceremony or a ritual to do that. Things that we do, whether it's formal or informal, like I'm personally really interested in the warrior archetype right now because I know I'm a magician and a lover. Like it's just I, that's my energy. The warrior for me is, it's more of like, okay, we're gonna get to work, we're gonna execute, we're gonna get these things done. I don't care what's in the way. Um, and there's accountability. I'm taking accountability for myself if I don't do it. And then if I don't do it, then I'm gonna schedule it for a different day and I'll do it then. It's taking massive action. And in some ways, it's um, adding rituals, adding habits, healthy habits that we as men haven't been doing. We've been a little bit lax on things. And so just the very decision to like, hey, I got to change my habits. I'm going to introduce these rituals into my day, whether it's in the morning, during the day, or at night. Um, and taking action on those is bringing that warrior element into life. Um, yeah, it's so, adding, but then it affects different archetypes. So like if I'm gonna add a meditation to my day, that's connecting with the magician archetype, the part of a man that's connecting to God, the part of the man that is seeing that, there's a wisdom beyond himself
Mhm.
to be available to. And to also surrender a little bit, like let God flow through me rather than me trying to do all these things to, execute some grand plan.
Mhm.
The grand plan is usually the archetype of the king, you know, and
Wow.
sometimes the king needs to consult with the magician to be like,
Mhm.
I have a big picture and a grand plan as the king, but I'm feeling like I need some counsel. I'm feeling like I need a mentor to kind of, guide me in certain ways or just to make sure that what I'm seeing and planning is on track, you
Mhm.
know. Um, you know, the lover is about a lot of times about fun and play and releasing like the stringent, order of things, and just loving people and forgiving people, spending time in nature. And so, a man saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna spend more time in nature. I'm gonna go on hikes with friends, maybe like once a month or something, or I'm gonna go on my own after work as a way to decompress before I go home." Those are nice rituals that, you know, it might not sound like it's bringing lover energy, but it's bringing that connection to a man's nature, which is,
Mhm.
we're sexual beings, um, and it's very grounding. So,
So I'm so curious how these archetypes mesh with or complement the feminine archetypes, Radha,
mm,
that you work with. Is that sparking anything for you? Because of course, where I'm coming from is the sacred union and the coupledom. So I'm just really interested in how the feminine archetypes that you work with mesh with the masculine archetypes that Michael's referring to.
I think it's really important for divine masculine, divine feminine to really activate their inner archetypes. And when we do that, like say a divine masculine activates his inner king, well, then he can be really ready to meet his queen, right? Because
mm,
he prepared himself. He really took the time to investigate, to look, to the inner search that we do when we do this kind of work. It's profound. That's where we find our greatest gifts, our strengths. We transmute pain into power, and all the different things that we do. Many things get alchemized, and so I also do like a queen. I have a queen coaching program, and it really helps women activate into her queendom so that she can really also manifest what she wants in her life, which is that love or the career, whatever it is. Because when we are in that ownership of these archetypes and really activate them, it really permeates through our whole being. It starts to come into our morphogenic field. And it's so important. And if we don't play with that, we never get the opportunity, right? So it's an
mm,
opportunity, I think. And everybody wants to meet the love of their life. A woman wants a king wants a queen, an emperor wants an empress, but how
mm.
do we get there if nobody's doing any work? You know? We really want to we got to do the work, and sometimes it's not glamorous, because sometimes this work that we do, it actually is very self-reflective, and there's a lot of shadows, and I don't know about,
Mm,
and a lot of this work is about looking at the shadows so that we can integrate them and then really express ourselves in our wholeness, rather than parts of self that are so compartmentalized that we don't know who we are. We have to go in this compartment to get this self, and
Mm.
the integration process is so important. Would you like to speak about that, Michael? The integration process, and how maybe you go about it, or
mm.
that how that works with your archetypal work.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind when I hear you say that is that embodiment is the way. So,
Mhm.
so doing these activities or practices, um, whether it's shadow work, journaling,
Mhm.
or um, prayer, meditation, going out in nature, um, having difficult conversations, even
Mhm.
you're integrating these aspects of yourself because you're doing it.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of guys, and I've been one of them, who was like, well, I'm gonna do the things that make me feel good
Mhm.
only. So like, oh yeah, it's fun to dance. It's fun to um or interesting or helpful for me to have a meditation practice, but going to the gym and working out or doing a cold plunge, like F no, I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
but when I do it, it
Feels good.
activates that warrior, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm a more holistic being. All of a sudden it's like my spine is straight, right? And I'm like, I'm not only is my warrior now online, but the magician and lover is online. And if I'm, in touch with my vision
Mm-hmm.
for my life, the goals that I set out, which is like a visioning. There's visioning exercises that I do with people, um, to help that become clear. Then all that's online. Then oh my God, like then you are an integrated man. That's what integration is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Beautiful. Yeah. So really doing the things sometimes that we resist. It
Yeah.
it activates those parts of us that are those magnificent parts, but we resist it. So we're like, nah, not today. But when we do it, we feel like, whoa, I feel amazing. When I work out, I feel strong. That inner strength, that mental, emotional, physical strength, it activates. So these are different activations that bring us online in a sense, right?
Yeah, and I think of like with the king, it's like maturity is
Mm-hmm.
the king. So the maturity of, when we're immature, um, young men, uh, that is kind of like, oh, I just want to like party and like have a good time and, meet girls and, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen, but who cares? Like I'm just gonna like figure it out. That's not quite mature yet. That's immature to some degree. And so the maturity when we start to stand in our king is being like, oh yeah, I know where that leads, or I've experienced that, or I know what I want and that's not it. And that um what I want is this particular vision. And then in regards to relationships, it's like, hey babe, this is my vision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm inviting you to come along, you know.
Yes,
That's what women
we've
love.
talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just add too that the queen mentality craves that masculine leadership and craves that maturity. So I think that this just magic for the feminine when a man is able to step into that king energy and it's mature. And then at the same time, the lover energy is playful. So we do want that playful, but we want the maturity that goes along, with it. So it's not just stuck down here in the playful kind of aimless masculine. That's
Mm,
sure, I think. And then how when the king and the queen archetypes, come together, how that can elevate each partner in the couple way more than they would doing their individual work, even though individual work is important.
hmm
What I've seen in my work with couples is that when they're each doing their individual work and then they come together, the way that that synergy happens in the masculine feminine union like elevates each of them and the relationship just exponentially more than it could on its own. And then of course, with the divine, bring God into it. It's just so powerful.
Mm. Do you want to share a little bit about your work, Angela, and the working with the masculine and feminine?
I work with couples using the modality that I'm trained in called emotional freedom technique. It's meridian tapping on acupressure points. But I do integrate just a knowledge base of masculine, feminine dynamics within that. So just EFT, emotional freedom technique can be, it's an energy psychology modality, and you can use it in pulling on any number of foundational psychological principles. And the feminine masculine is one of those. So I love working with those dynamics, and I've seen in my couples really transform couples that I work with, if they are able to see where their partner has a need for a more masculine energy or archetype to come through. For example, if she needs to feel more protected, or she needs to feel more of that, lover energy where it's safe to play and to be playful or silly, and the feminine needs that. But when we're each getting their masculine and feminine needs met, it's just magic. But how I would apply that in my work is through emotional freedom technique. What it does is overrides neurological pathways. So we can work through past events that happen that caused, a wound or a barrier or something, in between the couple, that's gotten in the way of their experiencing true intimacy, true trust. And that could be a limiting belief, or it could be an event. And what we do is we tap on the meridian points using specific language. That's a big part of our training in emotional freedom technique, is to use neurolinguistics, which is a field, it was already existing before EFT was invented. But we, with words, with language, just the way, the magic of our brains, the words will stimulate neuropathways that we want to affect. So if we want to affect the neuropathways associated with a specific memory, that maybe something bad happened between the couple that created a break of trust or something, we can work through those. Or if the couple, let's say like the man has embraced more of his masculine energy and has stepped into this king archetype, for example, that we just talked about, and the female partner isn't understanding it or isn't accepting it, you can use EFT to break down limiting beliefs or subconscious programming that the female partner may have that's in the way of fully accepting the masculine gifts that the male partner has. And then she can experience the nourishment from the masculine that she actually needs and didn't even know she needed, or had, the barriers in the way of receiving that. But it's all just, attachment is another big foundational dynamic that I pull from. Some people, and this is just a psychological principle, that some are more avoidant attachment and some are more anxious attachment and some are more secure. And then there's also disorganized attachment. And all that comes from the first year of life, when in our infancy, how we're cared for and nurtured. And so my background is in child development before working with couples. And so I pull on a lot of that knowledge of how attachment disorders play out. And it's very, very common, unfortunately, in our society. Attachment disorders are epidemic. And so that's one thing that plays into my work with couples, but definitely this masculine feminine is a huge, it is a game changer in terms of really transforming the couple and helping them evolve and elevate to the sacred union that they want.
Beautiful. And Michael, you also do work with some aspects of energy work or energy healing. I'd love to hear about that, because it's more common now. A lot of counselors, psychologists are bringing those aspects and making it more holistic.
Yeah, it's so fantastic because, when we're working with energy, we're working on a layer and a level that is different than the mind, different than us, thinking things out or talking things out. We're like, oh, we're going deep. We're going deep here. We want to go to the level of where is the blockage in your energy field, right? That's contributing to the way things are coming up symptomatically. So, I that's one reason why I love EFT. I love energy work, Reiki. I've trained in both of those and also done other trainings in energy work. And in the last several years, I've been really getting into Qigong,
Mhm.
which is actually translates to energy work. So Qi is energy, Gong is the practice uh, of it. So, and Qigong is something that we can do for ourselves to clear energy blockages in the body. And there's also something in that context called 6 healing sounds that I do with people. So it's about like looking at there's a healing sound we can make
Mhm.
that 6 of them actually, and one for each we call it like core emotional cluster. So something that has to do with anxiety or worry, you know, that's in the Chinese system, that's found usually in the stomach, right? And spleen. So when we get anxious, you feel butterflies, right? Or you feel some sort of like nervousness in our belly. Um, we do a healing sound that clears that, or if we have a lot of anger and resentment that's held in the liver. So we do
Mm.
a specific healing sound that clears the liver. And if we don't clear those things, guess what? We start to have symptoms on a physical level, like irritable bowel syndrome, with anxiety, or we start having liver and gallbladder issues um, medically.
Mhm.
So, with if our anger and resentment is held on. So, so there's just so many cool things to do that are available to us. And as a therapist, I'm like, why not incorporate that stuff? Like,
Yeah.
why are we just talking things to death,
Yeah.
or just like letting a person vent and just agreeing with them, like, yeah, that sucks that happened. Your
Right.
your husband sounds like a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really
Disagree.
like that's not really helping.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
So
I love that we were talking about this earlier, Angela, how
Yes.
scientifically, like, I believe scientists are going to catch on a lot sooner how the emotions get lodged in the body.
Yes.
How, we have to actually clear them out. And sometimes talking does help, it really does, but also into using the other tools to really move things along can really reset us from inside out. So I think it's brilliant and beautiful. I'm so excited that more people, more psychologists, counselors are really coming with an integrative approach. It's
Yes,
powerful.
it's so cool. We actually, the inventor or discover the psychologist that discovered emotional freedom technique and came up with the 7 points or 8 points, sorry, that of what to tap on. That's how he discovered it, because he just had a client that wasn't progressing, and he read about the ancient Chinese, like their meridian systems and where emotions are stored in the body. And he realized that he just found the point. I
mhm.
believe it was this point that corresponded to the stomach, because he knew that the emotion that was related to his client's problem was in the stomach, according to ancient Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine, and other ancient bodies of knowledge as well. There's so much similarity. That's what really made me become a believer, is when you study the Ayurveda, like the ancient Indian healing, and then the ancient Chinese, they all knew this stuff, the same things, the chakra centers and the meridian points, and they're all saying the same thing. So it has to be real. And our ancestors knew all of this, and medicine and health and healing and sex and spirituality, it was all intermeshed. It was all one thing. And so it's so powerful and magical to work with these knowledge bases. And you can just do so much more, like Michael said, and so much faster. That's really my thing. I like speed.
Mhm.
Well, I want them to be able to get on with their lives and enjoy their new reality, their enjoy their transformation, enjoy reaching their goals. And so all of these things make it go so much faster.
So do you guys both want to share? I'd love for you to share what you have next, where people can find you, how they can work with you. Michael, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I have a monthly meditation that's online as well as in person. So folks can tune in virtually. And that's once a month. I got one coming up March 20th. But if this, episode posts after that, just go to my website and look for the next one, the next event. I also have a free men's group that
Wow.
I'm offering, and it's going to be on April 13th. It's Saturday. I want to make it available to as many guys as possible, and it's going to be focused on integrating that warrior energy into our emotional and spiritual development. And then later on, the dates are to be announced, but I'm going to do my program, Sacred Man, and that's a 6-week program for
Nice.
men. And so if people just connect to my website, they're going to be able to see, all the things I have coming up. It's sacred-psychotherapy.com. And of course, I'm available for one-on-one coaching and mental health therapy as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the work you're doing and helping to empower men. It's much appreciated. And Angela, how can people connect with you and what's next for you?
I've worked with couples not one-on-one, but one-on couple for quite a while. And I'm forming my founders club of my first group couples program. And it's very structured. It's designed to break through the barriers that come between you and get to your dream sacred union in 4 weeks. And I have some really special modalities that I've sort of perfected from working with couples that I think are the best, that work the best for most couples issues. And then it'll be also tailored to the couples that are in the group, because it'll be a really small group. But that's called my Primal Couples program. Primal because we're tapping into the instinctual masculine feminine, the instinctual attachment system, and our biological, neurobiological realities that are beautiful gifts that society is kind of crushing and canceling everywhere we turn. But that program you can learn more about on my expertise.tv site. There's a free community there. And then I will be interviewing couples. You could apply there. There's an application and a short, free discovery call that you can do if you want to be in the Founders Club. And then in the Founders Club, one of my couples will win a 3-week beach vacation as well. But that's expertise.tv, then /organizations/primal couples.
That's so
And we can
exciting.
probably
We'll have
put it
all
in
of
note.
your info below, and you guys feel free to reach out to them. It's beautiful. I really love, that these resources are available. I feel like we're in a time now more than ever where people are ready to receive support, So this is all available, you guys. You can just reach out, one click away. And thank you both for coming on today. I really appreciate you and all the work you're doing to help raise the frequency of the earth by raising it within, each person. So thank you so much for coming on today. Until next time, much love and blessings. Bye.
Thank you, Radha.
Thank you.